Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the JayBee Milly channel. I am JayBee and today we're going to be doing some more coverage on our Save the Hex Girls movement, all those posts that went viral stemming from our Carolyn Gare interview, and then of course J-Man's push on Twitter, which was absolutely amazing. Pretty much led the whole ball rolling on this whole movement, to be honest, so definitely check out them in the description down below, and again all these articles will be linked as well. So I actually didn't expect the last video to take off the way it did. Like, maybe I thought it would do somewhat decently, but it did seem to resonate with a lot of people, and for all this was mainstream coverage, I think a lot of it was to do with us almost commentating on that coverage, almost, from the horse's mouth, as it were. I mean, maybe we'll even get Carolyn Gare on another interview to react to some of these articles herself, or hopefully to even give us some updates on the whole entire movie, because, I don't know, I kind of feel like Crypto late March and Haunted Highrise in October would be the exact remedy that Scooby fans need from all the Velma stuff, because for all we don't dislike the idea of Velma, definitely the execution was lackluster, to be a bit kind. I guess I'll just leave it like that, lackluster. So just so we're not straying too far from the formula of the last video, insert some simping thirsty comment about Grey and we'll go on to the first article. And the first article is from Lupa. This one was kind of interesting because we'd never been featured on Lupa before, be it for Holiday Haunt or any of those other things. We'd never been featured on Lupa, but Lupa is a website that I've been a big fan of for a while now, be it their articles, their YouTube channel. I think Lupa is one of the titans, so it was such a starstruck moment to be able to be featured on Lupa. And this is maybe my favourite article. I mean, there's no bias here because, of course, we did have the writer May Harrington O'Neill on the show, and she was the only writer from these that we've reached out to so far, so it's not kind of like sour apples on the other writers at all. I do kind of want to reach out to some of them a bit later down the line, maybe sooner rather than later. I don't know, but I do recommend that you check out the May Harrington O'Neill interview. I'm going to leave it on the title card now, and I'm also going to link it in the description down below, and it's going to be the end card of this video. Now, the reason why I'd like to promote that interview is not only because May Harrington O'Neill is like such a nice person, our conversation was absolutely amazing, but it incentivizes these mainstream medias. Like, Lupa is one of the titans of media news, and so if her article and her interview does extremely well, that tells the head honchos at Lupa this story has weight, people care about the Scooby stuff, and then what does that ultimately lead to? Them thinking, maybe a bit corporate, but if they're going, okay, this does numbers, let's do more of it. A bit like how I'm doing this video. The last one did numbers, people seem to like it, so here we have another one. So I think that's kind of the mindset that we're going at this with. So please do check out that interview. I'll leave it in the link, like I said. So if you do come from that interview, from this video, please comment down below Lupa or something like that. Comment down below Lupa. But without further ado, let's get into this article. Fans have another mystery on their hands, and it's the curious case of how Velma has been renewed for a second season. The series has drawn criticism from longtime fans of the Scooby-Doo franchise for more reasons than one. With an IMDb score of 1.4, the show is a major departure from what viewers have come to expect from the members of Mystery Incorporated. Any interesting changes like diversifying the main cast are overshadowed by the problems. These versions of Velma, Mindy Kaling, Fred, Glenn Howerton, Daphne, Constance Wu, and Shaggy Sam Richardson are almost unrecognisable in personality. Not to mention Scooby-Doo, the icon himself, is noticeably absent. The choice to renew Velma is definitely a head-scratcher, especially given the astonishing amount of money Warner Bros. Discovery lost in its first post-merger quarter. It's even more confusing since Scoob Holiday Haunt was shelved as a tax write-off. Turns out that wasn't the only Scooby-Doo project that Warner Bros. Put out to pasture. Warner Bros. Pulled the plug on a ready-to-animate Scooby-Doo movie. So this is the second section here. Scoob Holiday Haunt may never see the light of day, but Warner Bros. Didn't stop there. During an interview with YouTubers JayBee Milly, storyboard artist Carolyn Gare. So again, I mean, maybe that's what I should have asked. If we were to do a part 2 of the May Harrington O'Neill interview, I kind of do want to find out what this whole, again, like I mentioned in part 1, the storyboard artist thing came through, because to write storyboard artist, I am sure that they weren't aware that she was the director of Haunted Highrise, because let's just think about it from a writing point of view. I think it is a bit more snappy to go, the director of the movie, you know, I don't know, and I mentioned this in part one, I don't want to repeat it too much here, but it is curious to know that even these articles, which are very in tune, and of course when we spoke to May, her passion for Scooby and love for Scooby was actually one of the nicest things to read from this article, because I do love the other articles, don't get me wrong, but this one did seem like someone that genuinely cared about the franchise, which I thought was absolutely incredible and is the driving force of why we tried to reach out in the first place. So again, I do kind of want to know what this whole storyboard artist thing is from, but regardless, we'll continue. The company also axed a movie titled Scooby-Doo and the Haunted Highrise, again citing tax reasons. While Velma is trying its best to be edgy and unique, Haunted Highrise would have included the franchise's typical hijinks that audiences love, as well as some fan favourite characters. According to Gare, it's unlikely fans will ever see this movie. Now, this is one part that I do just need to correct from the Lupa article, and it's quite significant. So, the quote kind of starts off, I think the Haunted Highrise was even funnier than, and then it italicized, you know, kind of parentheses, Scoob Holiday Haunt. But that's actually not true. So, in our Carolyn Gare interview, she says it was even funnier than the first. Now, for people that need context about that, Holiday Haunt was actually a kind of double film deal. The whole crew was filmed on and kind of hired on to do a 2-for-1 deal, starting with Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo and then transitioning over to Haunted Highrise. So at the time of this all happening, they didn't even know if Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo was going to be shelved or not. In fact, from that memory, I do believe that the day they found out that it wasn't shelved was the day the trailer came out. They just knew that a trailer came out and go, huh, okay, I guess it's coming out. So the Carolyn Gare never actually slights Holiday Haunt, but she does say it was funnier than Trick or Treat. So I guess that maybe wasn't entirely clear, but yeah, that isn't entirely correct. There's no quote that says that Haunted Highrise was funnier than Holiday Haunt. It's actually her thinking it was funnier than Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo. So let's continue, because that's just one thing I wanted to point out there. Given how fans have responded to Velma, it's a shame to see Warner Bros. Shelving other Scooby-Doo titles that could perform better with audiences and critics. Gare also couldn't hide her disappointment with the studio's decision. And so this is again the quote of it being, you know, more expensive to shelve than it is to get out there. But then we got this final conclusion. While Velma is still going on, Scooby-Doo and the Haunted Highrise was stopped before it could even be seen by fans. This makes it yet another tile axed by Warner Bros. Before it could get a chance to shine. And I think that perhaps is the most crucial part of things. Like, I understand people have watched Velma, some people like it, some people hate it. There's kind of that whole spectrum going on there. And me personally, I'm fundamentally against cancelling any TV show after season 1. And I think back to stuff like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for instance, could have been cancelled after season 1 because I think it received such a lukewarm reception. Not many people liked it, including me, you know. I thought it was cool, but season 1 didn't really hit the way I wanted it to, apart from, you know, the whole kind of twist towards the latter end of the season. But then seasons 2 all the way up to the end were absolute bangers because they found their footing. Now, I'm not going to say Velma is guaranteed to have the best season 2 ever because it's going to fix all the problems of season 1, but I do think it at least deserves that chance. Like, come on. I mean, yeah, season 1 was for the most part pretty horrible, but I'm not counting out season 2 by any means. But the whole point is I'm fundamentally against cancelling things after season 1, but imagine something being cancelled after their first thing. Like, that's even more reckless to me. So I am definitely more on the side of Haunted Highrise than Velma. And that's the thing, like, we never even got to judge this movie for ourselves. Like, if it came out, it wasn't good, fine, we'll all review it badly, the DVD sales would be down, the downloads would be down, and fair enough, the team wouldn't be hired on to many more Scoobies, maybe the Hex Girls would go on hiatus. That's just the way things go. Us as the audience vote with our wallets, except here we just didn't get the chance. So it is kind of a shame to see, and that's why this Lupa article, at least to me, was my favourite. So this is an article coming to us from Collider. Again, another crazy outlet that we'd never been featured on before. Like Lupa, Collider is one of those websites that I've been a fan of for the longest time. So to be featured on this was absolutely amazing. And in fact, this is where I'll admit to some behind the scenes stuff. When we reached out to May Harrington O'Neill, we believed that interview would flop dramatically because You know, she hasn't worked on Scooby-Doo in an official capacity, and of course, by proxy, the conversation would be a lot more, casual, chat with friends type vibe versus a kind of more official interviews in terms of formal. I guess that's the right word, not official, formal, where we talk about exactly, dissecting the intrigues of Scooby and dissecting the work that we all know and love. Whereas this was very much just let's talk about this, let's talk about the whole situation. But actually, that interview did phenomenally well. So we didn't reach out to, say, the writer of this one, Shane Romanchik, because we really wanted to test the water of how things would happen. We are content creators. We do what we like to do. We do what we want to do. But in terms of the interviews that are very, very important to us, first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that the audience enjoyed it and the audience were happy with it. And so with that last interview doing very well, we may even reach out to Shane about this article and about this whole situation because, but we didn't reach out because we were a bit worried that we hadn't tested the water yet. But regardless, let's get into the article. New Scooby-Doo movie featuring the Hex Girls act at Warner Bros. Discovery. These meddling kids just can't catch a break. Over the last number of months, Warner Bros. Discovery and the company's new CEO David Zaslav has been reshaping the studio's offerings from the DC Universe and beyond. This included cancelling films like Batgirl and the Wonder Twins. However, another major franchise that has been affected by the Warner Bros. Merger has been a pup named Scooby-Doo? A franchise that has been affected has been a pup named Scooby-Doo. See, this is weird. I do think that maybe Shane's saying there was a pup, like literally, a pup named Scooby-Doo, as in not a reference to the show, but quite literally, there is a pup called Scooby-Doo. But that's neither here nor there. That just kind of threw me off because, of course, that is the name of a past show. But the classic animated series saw its sequel to Scoob Holiday Horn axed in favour of a tax write-off last summer. However, while many Scooby-Doo fans weren't happy with the decision, it has been learned that this wasn't the only cancelled Scooby-Doo film. Director Carolyn Gare recently revealed that her film Scooby-Doo on the Haunted Highrise also became the victim of the dreaded tax write-off. Okay, so this is interesting. This is the first article that credits Carolyn Gare as the director and calls it her film. I absolutely love that because it does show that Shane, perhaps even more than the other people that wrote this, either did their due diligence in terms of maybe just clicking on the video or something, but it does seem that Shane has somehow gone above and beyond compared to the other articles in terms of adding some gravitas to Carolyn and Carolyn's position, so really do appreciate that. I guess another thing that I would quite like to point out is, for all this is great honours, the JayBee Milly channel, JayBee Milly this, JayBee Milly that, I am disappointed in every single one of these articles so far, because if they just clicked on the video once, they would also see Sophie as our co-host, and I do put my hat off to Sophie, because we've dealt with things in the past where we've come under fire on a personal level. I'm not going to go into that too much, but it's caused tension in the past where people haven't felt as seen as us in regards to this, and that is literally all I'm going to say about that. But Sophie, she's just been supporting these articles, supporting us, supporting the movie, without any type of hubris in terms of, I'm disappointed that I wasn't mentioned or something like that, and I just don't know if I can put into words how much we appreciate that. But yeah, I just want to put it out there. Sophie deserves as much credit as we do for this whole entire thing. So please, I want some thank you Sophies in the comments down below. And I do hope that if people that have written the articles are watching this, if and when we inevitably do go viral again, I would like our co-hosts that are featured in the videos to get the same credit as us, because they absolutely deserve it. So kind of moving on, and again, I am very impressed that Shane has gone above and beyond in citing Carolyn's profession and what this movie really meant to her. So the worst part is, the movie was set to bring back the series' fan favourite fictional band, the Hex Girls. So now this is a whole subsection on Haunted Highrise, which I think is kind of interesting. So the news comes courtesy of an interview with the JayBee Milly YouTube channel, where Gare talked as much as she could about the canned Hex Girls film. Apparently this was a project that was also deep into production. The voiceover work was finished and the animation process was about to start when Zaslav cut the film. If that news couldn't get any worse, the original Hex Girl voice actors Jennifer Hale, Kimberly Brooks, and Jane Weedlin had returned for the film, and even new songs, which given the Hex Girls' track record would have been instant classics. Now we talk about the Hex Girls' legacy. So Scooby fans will know this. I'm not too sure if I need to go into this. It's basically talk about the origins and the witch's ghost and their appearance in the vampire movie. And then this is kind of interesting. This is what I really want to kind of touch upon, because it always sums up the state of Scooby-Doo. Because like beyond this story, which is an important story, don't get me wrong, I do like the articles that just talk about where this leaves the whole franchise. Because I mean, what do we have now? I mean, even after this we heard about the mystery pups getting, shelved or losing distribution. So it really doesn't put us in a great place. But let's read this kind of section here. Scooby-Doo's in a bit of an odd spot at the moment. The franchise just finished up the first season of its adult series Velma, which was full of blood, murder, and crude self-aware humour. While most fans of the franchise hated the show, Season 2 is already underway, and it's actually a pretty fun series. Oh, wait, what? So this is kind of mad. So Shane is a fan of Velma. So this is interesting. Now, again, I know instantly, and actually this is making me want to interview Shane more, but we actually have a fan of Velma show writing about this movie. So yeah, I mean, maybe you guys can say, oh, that discredits them, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But it's so important to come up with these different perspectives when it comes to things, because we've had people going, the Lupa article, this movie was scrapped, and yet Velma lives on. But now we've actually got everyone saying, hey, well, this was actually pretty fun. So let's just hear him out, let's read this. Hopefully the Hex Girls can make an appearance in the HBO series. I mean, I feel like that would put a sour taste in people's mouths after this, but I do want to make things clear. For all I'm not the best fan of the Velma series, I don't personally believe that, say, a movie like this or Holiday Haunt was scrapped to make way for Velma, because things get shifted all the time. It's just the way things work. Like, I think it was either Mary J. Hoffman or Carolyn herself that pointed out that the Haunted Highrise was shifted forward a whole year. It was meant to come out the same Scoobtober as Trick or Treat, because if it had come out all as intentioned, 2 movies would have come out in October and Holiday Haunt would have come out in December. So because of Holiday Haunt, Haunted Highrise was pushed back a year. So it's not like if everything went to plan, Velma just was taking up too much resources and people, couldn't afford both of them. No, that's not the case. Velma just would have been shifted, or Haunted Highrise would have been shifted again. That type of thing. So I don't fully believe that it was a case of Velma or this, although from a viewer perspective that is how it is, and it is unfortunate. But from an actual production perspective, yeah, we don't think it was Velma killing these whole other projects at all. So yeah, let's move on to the next article. And the final article that we're going to cover today is from CBR, ComicBookResources.com, which we have been featured on quite a few times in the past, so it's great to see that kind of build up. Again, I am kind of a bit like, not begging for some type of job or something, but I do kind of feel like when there's articles and outlets that consistently sources for things, I don't know, I kind of feel like a part of me from that position would be a bit like, let's reach out to them, let's get them on something. I don't know, like, does that make sense? I kind of feel like when the same names come up consistently for breaking stories, I would be extremely curious about those people. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the article. We got HBO Max killed a Scooby-Doo / Hex Girls movie along with Scoob 2. So again, storyboard artist Carolyn Gare reveals a Warner Bros. Discovery also acts a Scooby-Doo film that would have brought back the iconic Hex Girls. Scoob 2 wasn't the only film starring Mystery Inc. to be canned by Warner Bros. Discovery, as another Scooby-Doo project starring the fan favourite band Hex Girls was also terminated. As revealed by storyboard artist Carolyn Gare during an interview with YouTubers JayBee Milly, the film was ultimately put on hold due to what they described as financial decisions made by the studio. The film named Scooby-Doo and the Haunted Highrise would have seen the Hex Girls playing a major role in the spooky story. I think the Haunted Highrise was even funnier than the first because we had the Hex Girls and new songs and we pulled out all the stops. We had motorcycle chases throughout the hallways, Gary explained, who would have served as the film's director of animation. So Again, director of animation I think is another role. I don't think it's necessary. Just say director at the end of the day. But that's, I guess semantics, to be honest. So again, there's just more quotes about how the film would have been more, I guess, equally as costly to release as to shelve. So that's kind of the stuff there. And again, we get some more stuff here about Scoob's fate and all of that stuff. So it's kind of a bit sad. Like, well, Warner Bros. Discovery's cancellation of Scoob Holiday Haunt made headlines in mid-2022. The situation in relation to Haunted Highrise was largely undocumented. Based on guest descriptions, the Hex Girls' return had not yet reached a stage where animation had begun in earnest, while the second Scoob movie was reportedly largely finished with production. The official reason behind the terminations had never been confirmed, but insiders have stated it was meant to cut costs due to writing off films as tax cuts. Is that true? I do believe that the tax write-offs was the actual confirmed. Like, it was actually confirmed that that's why it was written off. I don't know, Maybe I need to check my facts. So yeah, then it goes on about more holiday haunt stuff here, but that's kind of it. I did like the article. I do feel like it was a bit fillery. Like, they could have said a lot more about Haunted Highrise, and it does kind of, maybe they had like a word count, and so they wanted to fill it with holiday haunt stuff, which again, we are still Team Holiday Haunt all the way. We've not forgotten about that film. And in actual fact, I do kind of feel a bit guilty going forward, because I feel like we put in a lot more fight for Holiday Haunt in comparison to Haunted Highrise, but it's simply because of energy and timing and just all that stuff. But believe you me, there are amazing people such as J-Man on Twitter, Scoobytopia, that are fighting the good fight alongside us, so that I kind of feel like before with Holiday Haunt, we were just lone wolves fighting by ourselves, and now we get the immense privilege of almost taking a back seat to that, while the community kind of does that for us. So we are incredibly grateful for everyone that's kind of on this team, and hopefully we can save the Hex Girls, because this is one of the movies that, more than maybe the others, I want to see the most, because I love the Hex Girls. So what do you think about this news? Comment down below and let us know. And if you do want to see more of these types of videos, then please like, comment, and subscribe to JayBee Milly.